Hello, everybody. This is Farhan Mirza, and I'm working as a Vice President and Global Head of Global Purchasing Supply Chain Management at Wind Wind Turbine Manufacturer based out of Helsinki, Finland, for the past 3+ years. And prior to that, I've been working with Clipper Wind Power, which was also a wind turbine manufacturer based out of Santa Barbara, California. I worked there for about 3 years. And prior to that, my background has been purely automotive, where I worked for General Motors and various assignments within manufacturing, supplier quality, reliability engineering, and global purchasing and launch management. And From an education perspective, I have studied engineering with my bachelor's was in mechanical engineering, and from Osmani University in India. Master's has been mechanical engineering with a major in industrial engineering and manufacturing with from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. And Today we will be discussing from my background of about 17 years within the industry of manufacturing and supply chain, and which I specialize in these two arenas, and how I see uh, the role of just pure purchasing or purely sourcing has come about to being truly a cradle to grave approach, where we say global purchasing and supply chain management as the new mantra. So it's truly, I just said, a holistic view would be a cradle to grave approach. And within supply chain management, one of the key things which came in probably about in the mid 2000s, so we could say about 7 to 8 years back, close to even 10 years back, when the automotive industry, feeling the pressures of trying to reduce cost and be more creative with the supply chain, came out with the supply chain footprint optimization. So we called it supplier footprint optimization, SFO, and of course within various industries that's been accomplished now. But the question to answer is, what is supply footprint optimization, SFO, and how is the supply chain optimized? So primarily we go in and take a manufacturing location, and it's initially started with saying we'll go low cost, and generally the trend was to go to the regions of either South America or go towards Asia if you are talking about an entity or a manufacturing facility based in the United States. But fast forward 10 years, we are seeing the opposite, where from east things are moving back to the west, and from south things are moving to the north. So does not really hold true that you only go one direction. So even more important, the word supplier footprint optimization is how you take a original equipment manufacturer or a key manufacturing environment or an industry or a location and move it to where the best landed cost globally would be achieved without compromising quality, delivery, and customer service. So, and obviously, technology and the IP issues are not compromised either. So this comes into play where all of this has to be accomplished when you move a location where you manufacture. Within that, you have to move the complete supply base which goes with it. Now, how you go about doing that is you take the probably the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and take a hybrid. So take 20% of the best, 20% of the most difficult suppliers, and within the middle arena where you would have about 60%, take maybe a handful of those. And the low hanging fruit is what you try to accomplish, saying you discuss with the suppliers upfront and say who within your chain is going to be the most difficult if, say, we move from United States to, say, India, or we move from Mexico to a location within US. and then you decide on moving the business with a manufacturing location or a simple assembly location to the low cost area or to the area where the local markets are going to be benefiting from having a supply chain which will be located locally, give employment locally, procure locally, and be able to source its own suppliers locally. So this is what it really means. Original equipment manufacturer moves within that movement. You would encourage the immediate supply chain to also move, and depending on the strength and the ability and the willingness of the supply chain, all of this has to be worked out, sitting face to face with detailed understanding what the risks are, what the reward are, and you keep a buffer of things going right and things not going right, where you are not going to be short-sighted but truly be long-sighted. So any rewards being worked out or any pain being discussed, there's got to be some derating factors accounted for. And then when you move to that location of interest, not only the local economy will benefit, not only the liking for the product will be more because you're going to support locally, but also the attention to addressing issues with quicker turnaround. Working capital management will be so much easier to manage because you don't have to keep on getting goods from other locations where you originally had the supply chain. And any issues to address, the turnaround time is much quicker, and any warehousing and logistics costs are eliminated. And at the end of the day, you are able to grow in a region which is more sustained to the long-term longevity and growth of that unit. So slowly but surely, you are going to pull back the support which you have, and that region within the new environment will grow, and their supplier base will also grow with it. So this in itself is supplier footprint optimization, which takes place when an original equipment manufacturer moves, and then within that movement, it encourages the supply chain also to move. Then the next question would be, how does this affect global sourcing? Obviously, all this coming into play. In today's world, we are absolutely an environment where whether you just produce locally in a small town, a small village, or a small sect of population, or you are looking at fulfilling the needs of a true global and I would say cross section of society. You can never say that I am as an in a niche market. Yes, the word niche market and certain things exist, but truly things are becoming very global. Recently, there was an article where the CEO of Ferrari, I mean, an average Ferrari would be somewhere in the $300,000 range, has reduced the production because the car is becoming a bit too common. And although they only produce just about 7,000 units annually. So you got to understand, even a niche product is getting, in the eyes of the CEO, a bit too common, and they are trying to reduce by a few hundred or 1,000 vehicles the annual production. So when you talk for any organization to really survive, that the DNA has to be comprising of a global outlook. And McKinsey did a recent study, which was about, I think, 6 to 8 months back, that the most thriving of organizations are the ones which have got on their leadership team and within the working environment, but it primarily focuses on the leadership team, a cross section of diversity. So diversity truly breeds success, and global thinking breeds the success and the advantage over your competition who does not have it. So this all coming into play into global sourcing would really mean that you tend to go and truly say what, as I had initially pointed out in the discussion here, quality, cost, delivery, service, and technology all have to be top notch, and they have to come as a package. And then the best landed cost globally should be accomplished to be able to thrive as an organization and bring the shareholder value. So if you go to a region where you feel the manufacturing is going to be best suited, you take the entire supply chain, and as we discussed a few minutes back, on what the benefits are of this supply chain coming together, and then in the middle to long term, the growth coming and sustaining within the local region itself growing. That's going to be a big takeaway for the society, for the supply chain, as well as the initiative of global sourcing, where you just don't source to benefit or add a tick mark or get an attaboy for 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarters, and then get bonuses or the company stock goes up. It is long term, it is sustainable, and then the anomalies of scale come into play where any market going up or down, the other region where you're globally sourced is going to balance it out. Whether you talk about foreign exchange, you talk about material costs, or you talk about disruptions due to natural calamities or acts of God. And then another question would be, where would I have seen, or where would people who believe and conduct business with global sourcing in mind seen successful implementation of this? Again, I go back to my automotive examples, wire harnesses and electronics like your dashboard controls within an automotive environment. A lot of that is happening in Mexico. You look at taking the example of Korea, for example, taking just Samsung out, to take other examples of flanges for towers within the wind business. A lot of that is happening. What used to be very much local business within steel mills in Europe or in US, that's moving out. Then you take the example of castings and machining. Initially, machining for heavy casting, 16-20 tons in weight, talking about mainframes and hubs in wind turbines, used to generally happen only in the local regions where you produce, talking about North America or Europe. Nowadays, the logistics has improved, machining abilities have improved, where China is doing a lot of the machining and shipping machine castings. Then another example I could take would be bearings. Germany was the niche market for bearings. So there were only 3 to 4 players. You talk about the Timkins, the SKF, the FAGs, or the ENA group. But nowadays, you have got a lot of Asian manufacturers in bearings coming out and giving a true tough competition to an industry which was so much more secluded and niche within the Central European region, and primarily Germany to be precise. But this is what's global sourcing. This is what's globalization of components, commodities, and products in general. And these are some of the examples, I would say in a nutshell. I could go on with a lot of examples. Maybe we could have some follow-up sessions depending on how the feedback is on this. And we could go individually on little bit more details on what and how the discussion should be before moving a supply chain with the intention of a footprint optimization. Then we could have some other sessions where we could talk truly about initiatives of global sourcing and how to go about. And there's been tons of discussion within this forum, but I can bring in my own perspective of aerospace, automotive, and the wind turbine business, and say how all this I have seen happen. I have seen myself do it, and what I have seen as my lessons learned. And then we can also, in subsequent sessions, talk about further taking a case-by-case example of implementation of global sourcing and where we have seen the benefits. We can take couple to 3 examples and then have a session on that. But thank you very much for giving a patient ear on this, and would look forward to further comments from the group. Thank you.